Perfect. Okay. All right. First off, welcome all parents and students. I know we have both grade nines and tens, and this is really for Montcalm Junior Football. I'm happy to see that there's so many people interested. This is the first time we've ever done anything like this. We usually wouldn't even reach out to parents this early in summer, but I know for me and many of the other coaches, we're just so excited to get started that we want to meet you guys as soon as possible and just give you any information and answer any questions that you may have about the upcoming season. I will stress now that there are still many question marks that lie ahead of us, but we're really hoping in the next coming weeks that we'll get more answers. I just read in the news today that the government of Ontario are going to make a big announcement next week in regards to school. So I hope to kind of answer a lot of questions, but I do not have all of the answers. So I just wanted to stress that to start. So today, our basic agenda is going to go over just the basic team information. So what to expect from junior football, what our values are of our team, how we're going to handle football in this COVID era. It's new to all of us, coaches included. Our last season was before COVID even started, so it's new to us as well. And then expectations. So not only expectations of how we're going to hold you guys accountable, but also how you're going to hold us as coaches accountable as well. So first off, we're really lucky to have a great coaching staff. The last year we coached football, we had 4 coaches, which was a little crazy for us. But this year, I'm very happy and proud to say that we've already doubled our coaching staff. Over a month before the season even starts. So the top row we have returning coaches. So there's myself. I'm a little bit more defensive focused. We have Coach McLaren, who's on this call. So welcome, Coach McLaren. He's going to be our offensive coordinator for the year. We have Coach Dumoulin, who works with the line. Coach Yao, who's returning after a few years of being away because he was at school. And this year we have the bottom 4 coaches joining us. So I saw that Coach Miller is on this call as well. So welcome, Coach. We're going to have our former football player, Coach Tucker, join us as well. We're actually going to have 3 line coaches this year, which is going to be amazing. And then we have Coach McKinley and Coach Urquhart. Myself, Coach Yao, and Coach Urquhart are all Montcalm graduates. So we're very proud to coach this team. Everyone, like every face you see on that screen, are very passionate about football. It's a lot of hours we put in. We spend at least 2 hours a day on the field. We also spend a lot of hours in the summer. We spend hours before practice, after practice, to kind of plan everything and make sure we're keeping everyone safe. So we do this because we love it. We don't get paid for it. I'm just super excited about this coaching staff. This is, I think, one of the best coaching staffs I've seen coming into a year. And I think we're going to need it because we have a lot of people that are gung-ho and ready to get started. And so are we. Just to remind people, I'll be answering all questions at the very end. So if you have a question, just if you can write it down, because again, there's a chance that I may be answering it through this presentation. So first off, junior football. Again, there's some of us that are coming into grade 9 have never been in high school, so it's important to separate football into junior and senior. So the highlight tape that some of you saw before the presentation was senior football. For junior football, it's only for grade 9s and 10s. And it's really important to have football for only grade 9s and 10s because it gives us some opportunities, right? So it gives us more game and practice involvement. We actually have a team that's focusing on developing our young players. It's giving them game time, and it's also giving them more reps in practice. In previous years, we've had a varsity team, which basically meant that we had all grades together. And the ones that really competed were only the grade 11s and 12s, and maybe a few grade 10s. So a lot of the grade 9s and most of the grade 10s didn't get a lot of activity and a lot of involvement. So, having a junior team really allows them to grow and develop. It also is a great opportunity to meet new people. I know some grade 10s on this call. It was a really weird year last year, not having sports and clubs. You really didn't get a chance to meet people from other, elementary schools. But it really helps, really create a group of friends that you'll know for the rest of your life. Coach Yao and I, we met in grade 9 playing football, right? And we still chat today. So it's a really great way to make bonds with people that are long lasting. And in my opinion, it's the best team sport. Unlike other sports where you'll hear about an all-star basketball player moving to a team and all of a sudden they're a championship team, football really requires all pieces of the puzzle to kind of do their job, which you really, really focus on. I know Coach McLaren always repeats the mantra, do your job. Because that's the main thing. If everyone takes care of what they have to do, the team's going to succeed. So, football is a great way of doing that. And I find it really reaches different areas of our life as well. What I really wanted to focus on, and what, to be honest, as a coaching staff, we never really focused on too much, is talking about our values and what we want to build within our players, not only just as football players, but as people. So we created this acronym called BUILD, right? And the B stands for bravery, because football it's a tough sport, right? You have to make decisions that are very quick, and it really takes a lot of repetition, and it takes a lot of confidence building to get there. So it does require people to be brave, but it really allows people to start being more confident outside of just the football field, whether it's in classes, whether it's in workplaces, volunteer positions, you name it. It really allows them to develop that. So we are always looking to find ways to make our players more brave and confident. Next up is unity. I always see football as a bit of a brotherhood, because again it's really like looking out for each other and trying to protect each other, and you're all trying to work together for one single goal, right? You're trying to figure out what are we trying to achieve this year, and we're putting the work in and trying to achieve it. Next up is integrity. I've always been a person of my word, and I trust that all my players are going to be so as well. So we have a very high standard of honesty, and what we do in football will often be mirrored in life outside of football. Myself at Montcalm, I'm actually a leadership teacher, and this year specifically, I'm really going to focus on finding ways to develop leadership, especially in our grade 9s and 10s. Too often it's the grade 11 and 12 students that take leadership roles, but I think it's important to build leadership in every single person that walks on the football field. The more that someone that's even on the bench can take a leadership position, they take ownership of that, and it'll allow them to get better as they go on. And last but not least is dedication. So again, football, as I said, it's a tough sport. There's lots of things going on. Some of you are coming into grade 9 and have never been in this position. There's different clubs, there's different sports, different people to meet. But football is really like a 2-month sport. It's really September and October and a little bit of November, and it's a lot of hours. It's a lot of work. But when you put that work in, you get a great reward. So it's really important that we focus on building dedication and showing what we can do when we put our minds to it. And at the end of the day, junior football is our foundation, right? So we're trying to build this foundation just like the foundation of a house. If we're trying to build a house with a poor foundation, the house will crumble, right? So if we can focus on, really building all these ideas and all these different values into our grade 9s and 10s, we won't really have to worry about developing them too much in grade 11 and 12, because they have already had these ideals built into them. And again, it's not just, as a player, it's as being a person, right? Being a good person in our community. One of the great examples is one of our most recent players that went on to play in university, Brendan Patrick. He was a great leader on the field. He was a hard worker. He knew the game, and he ended up going to Laurier, and he's on the Laurier football team now. And it's really looking at, all those pillars. What can you do to, elevate yourself and not only succeed on the football field, but in the classroom and outside of school. So next I want to talk about priorities, because it's been a while since we've had anything else besides school and being at home. So uh, when we're at Montcalm, our priorities go 1, 2, 3 right here. So number one is class, right? So, doing well in school is the number one priority. The reason why they call the a student athlete is because they're a student first and athlete second. And I find that, the more we can focus on, having good habits in school and paying attention and working hard, it translates to success in athletics as well. The next priority would be our practices, because in order to, make it to the games, you have to make sure that you show up to practice. So it's really understanding that, these are where our priorities are, and we need to make sure we're doing everything we can to have excellence on and off the field. But we have to remember that, life isn't just about football. It's not just about school. We also have parts of our life outside of school. So again, family and faith, right? Really, really important for all of us. And we want to make sure that we take that into account when we're, talking to people, when we're working with these individuals on the football field, right? We want to focus on having good daily habits, right? Not staying up till 3 a.m. playing Fortnite or Roblox or whatever the newest game is. I see a few parents kind of like rolling their eyes. So I hit a note there. And then there's also the social life aspect too, which I think a lot of us have noticed it's taken a hit, myself included. And when we look at all those things, I find football really adds a lot, right? It kind of adds a bit of like a family feeling because, again, we're all working together. We really focus on having good habits because, instead of, not focusing in school, we're making sure we're doing well because we have to, have a good mark to stay on the football team. We also have to make sure that we're eating well so we perform well, and we have to make sure we sleep well too, right? So we're getting our full, 9 hours of sleep every night to make sure that the next day we're ready to go. So now we're talking about the fun stuff, COVID. So things have changed in the last few weeks, which has been good. I know when I was talking to some parents, we just entered step 3. So right now, step 3, starting July 16th, it has allowed us to do a few new things, which is great. So first off, contact practice can resume in Ontario. So rec leagues and different competitive leagues in Ontario have been allowed to start practicing and start doing tryouts. There's no restrictions on field for participants. So before, you could only have 25 people on a field. Now it's unrestricted. So we could have a full football team. So it's possible for us to do this. Then last but not least, outdoor spectators. So now we're allowed to have 75% of our outdoor capacity, which at Montcalm is huge. We have lots of room on our field. So given, again, all these things that the Ontario government has listed, if things can stay the same, there's a really good chance that, we can have a season, and that's what we're hoping for. Obviously, as I said, next week they're going to make an announcement. We're really hoping that they have some good news for us, that we can, resume sports again and, see this again. This was from a few years ago at a Red Feather game, where, we got to pack the stands. This time, obviously, it'll be a little bit more spaced out. But that's our goal, is we're looking to, get people back and excited about Montcalm football. And I'm actually kind of blown away that I have, I think, 26 of you on today. That's amazing. I remember the last time we had a junior team, I think that's how many people originally signed up. And I know there were quite a few people that let me know that they wouldn't make it tonight, but they wanted to get the recording. So I'm incredibly excited to see, how many people are showing up and how many people are interested in football. I couldn't be any happier. Next up, I want to talk about expectations quickly. So first off, from a personal development standpoint, we want to focus on those build values, right? So bravery, unity, integrity, leadership, and dedication. And again, student athletes. So all athletes at Montcalm. So whether you just play football or you play football and basketball or wrestling or soccer, you name it, you had to focus on the 3 A's. So it's attendance, both in school and at practices, attitude, right? Having a positive attitude in the building, and achievement, right? So doing well in class and doing well in the sport, right? If someone isn't showing up to practices, they can't really be too mad if they're not going to be starting the next game, right? Because they've missed a lot of stuff. In football, we have a lot of different plays and a lot of different schemes and tactics we have to put in. So it's really important that people show up. And, when we talk about preseason in our training camp, it's going to be important that people show up to that because it'll allow them to develop on an easier timeline than if you did it on the first day in September. When we look at this, I think of football as a really good opportunity to learn and continue to learn. And during the time of COVID, me, Coach McLaren, a few other coaches at Montcalm, we've been able to go to some virtual clinics. So the one on the far left here, this was actually put on by Riddell and Ontario Football, and it was Thursday nights for I think every Thursday night in February. We listened to great high school coaches, university coaches. I've been to different clinics by York, Western, Laurier, really to develop my knowledge as a football coach and get better. Because I really believe that if you're not trying to get better, you're going to get worse. So I'm really big about constant growth and development. And another great resource that I found was this YouTube channel, 3 Down Development. It's really been great to see different drills, and it's a really good way for athletes to look and find drills to work on their form. So if any of you are interested in working on some different technique, if you have a position in mind you want to play, well, if you roll in training camp and you already know some technique, it's going to help you out. Next up, the fun topic, team fees. Everyone always wants to know about this. I'm very happy to say that we have dropped our team fees significantly since both Coach McLaren and I have come to Montcalm. When we first joined as coaches, all players had to pay $200 a year. And I see a few parents reacting to that. We've actually lowered it to $100 for juniors. So $100. It's the lowest price in London. The closest that I've seen is Strathroy. They do $130. But $100, it makes it very accessible for our players. And in that, our players also get some swag because we want to make sure that they are representing our team and they're proud of playing Montcalm football. So they will get a Montcalm football t-shirt. And really the reason why, it's $100 for football is it's the most expensive sport to run. If we look at the equipment and the program costs, for helmets alone, they're $300 each. And we have to replace those every 10 years. So it's something it's a very big thing for us. And, talking about concussion safety, we want to make sure we're staying up to date. And they're checked every single year to make sure that their integrity is still there, to make sure that they can be used. We also offer girdles for our players too. So it's for our hip, thigh, and tailbone pads. So again, that's about like a $30 price, but that's something that, your child will wear throughout their entire football career. We have Huddle. That's basically a video sharing software that allows us to share tape with other teams, but also universities. So again, if your child is interested in playing at the next level, Huddle is a really great way to kind of show their capabilities and their development to not only like rep teams like the the Junior Mustangs and Thunderbirds, but also colleges and universities. And then also mouth guards, different field equipment, shoulder pads, footballs, everything else that we need to run this program. A lot of different things. And at $100, as I said, you don't get any cheaper in the city. With that being said, though, I know for a lot of us, like $100, it just doesn't come out of thin air. So we do have some options. The bottom line, though, is this. Now, I could probably just end this presentation on here. No player will ever be unable to play Montcalm football because of money. And it's never happened. No one's been able to, been turned away from playing because they didn't have the money. We work with families, no matter what. So whether it's having payment plans, whether it's just doing a partial payment, so doing, 50 of 100 or 20 of 100, or waiving the fees altogether, right? Depending on the situation, we want to make sure that we're supporting these kids, and we don't want to hold anyone out because of any type of inequity. So the main thing we ask, though, is that you talk to us, right? Like we're human. We've been there, right? Both Coach McLaren and I have. So please make sure that you just reach out to us because, again, we're happy to help. We have money because we're an urban priority high school. I think we get around $300,000 a year to help people in our school, have the experiences of other children, right? So we have the money. You just need to let us know. For equipment, everything that your child needs, we provide. So we have our helmets, shoulder pads, jerseys, girdles, uh, all the different type of pads they're provided. Optional equipment though would be cleats, and I do ask that they're either blue, gold, black, or white, just because those are team colors. Gloves can be purchased, custom mouth guards. Again, we do offer just basic mouth guards that you boil. Some people like to get more advanced ones. But again, everything that's mandatory, we provide, and those are the optional ones that you can buy on your own. So 2021, how's it going to look? Pending government and school board approval. So I do want to just, again, throw that in there. There's still a lot that is kind of up in the air, but we're going to try our best to plan, hoping that we can kind of make it work. So first off, training camp. Again, it'll be depending on what we can do. But the plan is to run it from August 30th to September 3rd. So that's the week before high school starts, because it's the week before Labor Day weekend. It's going to be 2 hours per day. I haven't confirmed with coaches yet with times, just because, again, we're not sure if we're going to be able to have it yet. So I'm not sure what time of day it will be. But generally, we do it from anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours per day. It can be quite hot, so sometimes we try and do it more in the mornings, but we'll try and work around both our players and coaches for that. And we usually like to do equipment fitting and pickup the Friday before, just so Coach McLaren and I and the managers aren't running around like chickens with their heads cut off on that Monday, August 30th. So that is our plan going into the training camp. For the football season, practices start the first day of school. So we get started right away because we often have a game 2 weeks in, maybe 3 weeks at the latest. The season ends after playoffs, which usually will take place late October, early November. So it's a 2-month season. So it's really important that you find the time to really commit to football and give it a go. It's only 2 months. I think it's really important to make sure that whatever we start, we finish. And our practice times are 3 to 5 every day. If there's a need for scheduling, if you have to leave every Tuesday at 4:30, we can work with that, right? Again, it's just something that we have to make sure that we communicate. It's kind of part of the integrity part, right? We're being open and honest with everyone, and we're telling this is what I'm capable of doing. So we're happy to work with you, but we just need to be aware of what's going on. And then last but not least, after the season, we have the off season. So being a coach of many sports, I really like focusing on off season stuff. So that can either be through strength training. So if your child's interested in getting stronger and getting more fit, we provide workout programs for our students. They also have their phys ed classes and fitness classes in school that can help them. But I'm more than happy to help develop strength training programs. I've done it before in the past for other students, and I already have kind of one that's made for grade 9s and grade 10s once they have a little bit of weightlifting experience under their belt. Other sports teams, I really encourage all of my athletes to play multiple sports. It's great to work out, but I think it's even better if they can cross train and do different sports. Growing up, I was a football player, a wrestler, and a soccer player. And I played badminton through shot put too. So again, there's lots of opportunities here at Montcalm. I'm the athletic director as well. So if you're interested in playing another sport, you can actually check them out. So if you go to the Montcalm website and there's a little quick links button, click on that, and then you can look at Montcalm Athletics and click on that. And it has all the information about the different team sports. It has contact addresses, so you can click and reach out to the coaches during the school year. you'll be made aware of like when tryouts are or when practices start for each sport. So I really recommend playing as many sports as you can, get involved, meet new people. That's what high school is really about. Safety, really, really big. So first one I'm going to talk about is mostly concussions. That's one that's often brought up to me by parents. So first off, for coaches, we have to do a safe contact course. So it's really talking about taking the head out of tackling and make sure that we're tackling in a safe manner. And also, we have to know how to identify possible concussions. So this is something that's mandatory for coaches, and it's mandatory throughout Ontario football. Um, I myself am certified in CPR and first aid. There's a medical there's a medic at every game as well. So for anything serious, they're able to look at that as well. And we also look to do, we look at research and find the best way to train our athletes, right? So recently over COVID, I've kind of looked through studies and I found that, certain stances for linemen reduce concussion frequency. So guess what? I'm going to change how we teach our stances for linemen, because if I can find a way to, keep our players healthier, it's going to make our team better, and it's going to have them, have better post-football lives. So it's really important to me that, we use research and we find the best ways to keep everyone safe. This is, you don't need to know this. This is what I have to navigate if a concussion occurs, or if I think a concussion occurs. It's very simple on your end. I will give you whatever paperwork that I've been told to give you, and then we work through it. But there is a protocol to identify the concussion, get you back into the school, get you back into the sport at varying intensities, right? So if someone has a serious concussion, their first goal is trying to get back into school full time, and then it's just coming to practice, doing a little bit of fitness, some light intensity, then it's doing some sport specific drills, and then finally it's contact, and then it's competition. So we make sure that we tier it in a way that's safe for athletes. They're not just going back out after they've got their bell rung. It's something that we really need to get away from as a football community. But we're really looking at ways to keep our athletes safe. So we really believe in hit, stop, sit. If we've noticed that person's sitting, it used to be a thing where, and I remember as a football player that I try and hide a concussion. It's really an opposite messaging I'm trying to give now. Is if you suspect that you've gotten a concussion, you sit out, because it's not worth the long-term damages. And I know probably from some former football players on this call, you've probably had some scary concussions in the past, that it's probably because you didn't look at it right away. I know that was the case with me. Last thing about COVID, obviously we'll also be making sure that we wipe down, use hand sanitizer. Whenever we're indoors, we're going to be wearing masks. I was talking to a parent today about vaccinations. So I guess they got an email saying that they needed to have vaccinations to play sports. I haven't received that, and I tried reaching out to the head of athletics for all of Thames Valley. She has not gotten back to me. So I'll let you all know what I hear from her. I would definitely encourage you to get vaccinated, because what I do know from the school board is that if someone in a classroom comes into contact with someone who has COVID, if the person's vaccinated, they can come back to school the next day as long as they don't have symptoms. The person that's unvaccinated, they have to be out of school for 2 weeks. So just to avoid any time away from school and not having to go through online learning, it's best to get vaccinated. But it's obviously up to both you and your child and having that conversation. So now it's kind of the question and answer period. That was like a half hour right on the dot, so that's great. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or type them in the chat. Awesome. Thanks, Coach McLaren. So also, all players are required to receive 8 safe contact practices to play in a game. And it is documented. So thank you so much, Coach. So yeah, it's something that if someone joins later in the season, they can't play right away. They have to, have those 8 practices where we're going over contact and how to tackle properly. because it's super important to avoid any type of concussion. I'll get right to you, Cohen. I see Kyle says, are there tryouts? Training camp in the beginning of the year is pretty much tryouts. Generally, if you're trying your best and coming to practice, you're going to be on the team, right? Because you're going to succeed because you're paying attention and working hard. So we don't really have tryouts technically, but we're always looking for some depth. Cohen, go ahead.
All right. Actually, it wasn't Cohen. Coach Miller. I want to ask questions. So you're on defense, yeah?
Coach Miller's a line coach. We haven't decided whether O
line
line or
coach.
D line.
Okay.
I'm coaching D right now.
You're
I'm
coaching
yeah,
defense. All right.
yeah.
All right. So I'm trying to figure out. I watched that video, and it didn't look like anybody was actually going hard, and I was kind of disappointed by it. So I'm sorry, but how do you plan on coaching the boys to just be men?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. And the issue with that video is in 2018, that was from I think probably about 8 years of having a varsity team. So in grade 9 and 10, those players had no reps at live rounds, so to speak. So they never really played in game situations until they played in grade 11. So we're hoping with junior football, we're naturally going to develop because kids are in game situations. It's really easy to make a tackle in practice, right? When there's no pressure on you. When the game's on the line, it's much different. So we're really focusing on having just a junior program alone is going to help our tackling. Okay, I see Justin and Cindy have a question. You folks are still on mute. While we're waiting for Cindy and Justin, I'm going to answer a few questions in the chat. So Aiden asked, do you have to pay for the training camp? No. So we'll talk once the season kind of gets started, but usually we want to have everything paid up. So the team fee paid usually a week before the first game. Ideally, we like to get it done, first practice. Training camp, though, don't worry. Yes, thank you, Mr. McLaren. Training camp is free. So he said it in a much quicker way than I did. Yeah, sorry, Justin and Cindy. You're still on mute.
Happens if someone's away at training camp, can they still try out?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know a lot of us probably didn't expect football to be, on our minds so early in the summer. So yeah, it's totally fine to not be at training camp, but it's if people are there, they get a little bit of a step ahead, but it's not mandatory. Okay, I'm going to try and answer some questions here. Wrestling starts in November. So Marcus, if you want to reach out to me about wrestling, I'd be happy to answer that. Owen asks, do you need previous football experience? No, not at all. I find probably like 90 to 95% of our players have never played organized football before. When I started playing football, I had never played organized football. So not at all. Are you going to utilize the boys that have been playing with LMFA and Thunderbirds? Absolutely. And again, people that have played football before, you probably have a really good platform to be a leader, right? As long as we focus on those different things and build, right? And being a good role model, it gives you a really good platform to be a leader. So we absolutely will utilize any experience we do have. We can do whatever we can. Drayden asks, do you need gear? So as I said, if you want, you can purchase cleats, you can purchase gloves. Everything else is provided for. If you need cleats though, and you can't buy them, we do have a pretty big stockpile that we can give to you for free. So that's definitely something we can give. Aiden asks how many players will be on the team. It really depends on how many show up. We're really hoping to have, above 30 for sure. That's our hope, to have above 30. That way we can have people that play just one position, and then we have lots of backups. Really good question, Riley. So if class schedule is earlier, will practices be scheduled earlier? We will see. The 3 to 5 is really to help coaches, because we have a lot of coaches that work full time, and it's really hard for them to schedule like a 2 o'clock start or a 2:30 start. So I want to make sure that we give our coaches some time to get here, and then they're ready to roll. So I'm thinking the 3 to 5 will probably, I wouldn't say set in stone, but that's most likely going to be the case. Sorry, I'm going to go back to Cohen and Gerald.
My dad wanted to know what equipment do we have to buy on our own? Like, what equipment do we have to buy that's not provided?
So as I said to, sorry, who asked that? That was Drayden that asked that. Again, shoes, cleats if you want them. Again, they're not mandatory, but if you want, or if you want like custom mouth guards, right? Like the ones that the dentists give you. But everything mandatory we give you.
All right.
Yeah, no problem. So what sort of cost for new equipment? For football cleats, I'm not sure if Coach McLaren knew. I think anywhere from $50 to $100 is usually where it'll start, like low end. There are some that are probably $250, but I would say around the $60 to $100 mark, you can probably get a good pair.
So I'm looking less to know about cleats. I'm looking more to find out about helmet, pads, etc.
Sure, yeah. So helmets are about $300. If you're looking for a new set of shoulder pads, probably like $150 to again $300. They really vary by what model they are. So yeah, I would say for helmets they're going to be $300 and up, and then shoulder pads $150 and up. Girdles anywhere from $20 to $50 or $60. Yeah, great question. Or Aaron, when do we sign up to start for football? So with that, I'll actually be sending out a quick Google form to both parents and athletes to get numbers, and that way I'll be able to know who to contact. So I will be sending that out with the recording of this video, just so everyone has all the information, and also we can start getting numbers for what we can expect for the team, because that's what we really want to focus on now is when can we get started and what can we do. Aiden asks if you need a cup or a jock, as they're called. No, you don't. Really good questions. Anyone else? I think I saw Cindy and not sure if I saw Cindy's hand up or not.
No, I'm good. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was giving a last moment for everyone. Well, again, thank you everyone for your time. It was amazing to see this much involvement and this much excitement for football. We as coaches are obviously very excited to start, and I can't wait to get back on the field. So I really hope you all the best, and have a great rest of your summer. And really thank you from the bottom of my heart for attending. It's so great to see Montcalm football get started again. I'm really excited for a bright new future, and I think it's going to start with this group here, to be honest. I think there's a lot of great things to come, so thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. I've given you my cell phone number. I'm not sure if I'll if I'll regret that or not, but we'll see. And my email. So by any means, I'm happy to answer questions, even if it's about high school. Heck, I even offered someone a tour of Montcalm. If you want to have a tour of Montcalm beforehand, I'll be a tour guide too. And one last thing, sign up for High School Here I Come. I think I think it ends I think August 10th, and it's basically a great way for grade 9s to get used to high school and know how to use lockers, know where their classes are. So high school, here I come. I'm going to put it out there. Hopefully, I'll be teaching it, and I'll see some of you there. Sorry, I have a few more questions. Aiden. So Aiden, you're on mute if you're trying to speak. I may just quickly go over to Cohen and Gerald if.
All right. So mouth guards, they're advisable.
Yeah, so we provide mouth guards, and they have to, and you have to wear
Are
them.
they like the good ones though?
So we just have like the basic like Boyle ones. So if you want to get like Shock Doc or any of the crazy ones,
Yeah. So I
that-
used to play hockey, but like I mean the good ones.
yeah. So for the good ones, that's gonna be something that you would have to purchase.
Okay. How about the equipment? Like, do you fit it?
Yeah. So on that fitting day, so that's gonna be the Friday before training camp.
Yep.
It's gonna be coaches fitting it, and some of our
Okay.
managers that know how to fit it. So
Yep.
we'll make sure that there's a proper fit, because that's just as important as the quality of equipment is. How is the fit?
As far as so the other woman, she asked about helmets. So if the helmet is too big or too small, so how do you correct that?
So it's actually pretty simple now. They actually have an air system now that you can actually pump it up. There's also cheek pads that are inflatable as well, so it really snugs right up. So there's really no movement between the head and the helmet. It's
Yeah.
amazing stuff they've really developed over the last few years. So
All right.
it really allows us, and if if your kid goes through a growth spurt one year, then we switch them to a different helmet. It's not like they keep the same helmet for all their high school career. We'll switch it
Yeah.
up, and if they go from a medium to a large, we bump them up to the large.
All right. Thank you.
No
I have
problem.
another question, man. I'm sorry. I'm bugging the shit out of you.
That's okay.
I have another question. How do you deal with like injuries on the field?
Really depends. Again, there's a medic there. Again, I am CPR certified, and I went to school for kinesiology, which is basically the study of human movement. So I
Yeah.
have a pretty good mind for athletic injuries. But also there's a medic there, so they are trained. If it's anything really serious, we call the ambulance. So it's we usually have a pretty good staff, and I'm usually the one to be on the field and make sure the athletes are okay, just because that's kind of my expertise.
All right. The next question is, sorry, I'm just taking up all your time.
That's okay.
But yeah. So if a child is injured, so there is ambulance on site or no?
The ambulance is not on site, but there's gonna be there's a medic. So like they have like usually they'll have like splints and things like that, and they're gonna be able to like diagnose and when we need to call an ambulance. But there's not an ambulance on site, but there's a medic that we pay, and I think the usually Thames Valley
Over a pay-
actually
yeah,
supplies it. Yes,
yeah.
there we go.
All right. All right. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Any other questions? Drayden asked when training camp starts. I think I said September 2nd. It's August 30th to September 3rd. I did have it back here. There we go. So there's some of the training camp info. Again, subject to board approval and school approval and Ontario approval. But that's the plan, at least, Drayden. And welcome, Mustafa. Good to see you. All right. Well, I think we're pretty well said, and thank you all for your questions and interest. I hope you have a great night and a safe summer. I really hope that we can kind of keep on in this trajectory and be able to play football in August and September. I'm pumped, and I can't wait to meet you all. So thank you all. Have a wonderful night.
Goodbye, and thank you for this.
You're welcome, Lewis. Enjoy Nova Scotia.
I will.
Thank you.